Hi, Global Studies. Today's video is going to focus on the process of getting your academic planning form signed, which is a key part of planning for study abroad with the UCEAP study abroad programs. If you would like to use your time abroad towards your major and towards major requirements. So we'll go kind of through the three basic steps you'll follow. And then if you feel like that's enough for you, you kind of get the gist, you kind of know what you're doing. Probably no need to watch the remaining parts of the video. But if you are feeling a little bit lost on how to complete this process, which can take some time, definitely set some time aside as you're planning your classes on your planning sheet. And then you can watch the later slides that go into a lot more detail. So step one, I highly recommend that you take take a moment to look at your major and GE progress check on Gold. Always a good place to start whenever you're thinking about making future course plans, whether at UCSB or on UCEAP programs. And then you will use that to write down your remaining requirements for graduation. That is basically the front side of your form. So we'll go back over here. You can open that up on Gold. Basically, this is your way of figuring out what you still need to do to complete, to graduate with all of your requirements taken care of. If you are having trouble checking your degree audit, or what's called your progress check, you can use the paper version of our major requirements. You can download a copy of them on the registration resources section of our website. Again, this is going to have a lot of clickable links you're going to see in this presentation. You can't obviously click them through the YouTube video screen, but you can get to them from the description box. You'll be able to find a link to the slides there. For a tutorial on how to read your major and GE progress check, if it's been a little while since you've done that, or if you're not totally sure how that works, as a global studies major, there is another video on our channel. So you'll want to go over to our channel, our playlist. We'll have another video about how to do that if you want some more detail about that. And then you're going to use that information to account for and then write down your remaining requirements on the front side of your academic planning form. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a link. The UCSB EAP office has a copy that you can download. You will want to visit their website to get the downloadable form because it might be slightly different than the one that is currently here in terms of whether it's been updated. But you'll notice on the front side, there's some general information you'll fill up at the top, your major, your minor, or your second major if you have one, a minor if you have one. You'll check your college. For us, it's letters and science. And then this is where you write out everything you still have to accomplish as a student at UCSB before you graduate. You're also going to see some information in these boxes down here. A lot of what you're going to see here is what you'll see here in our presentation and in the slides. So it's mostly here, but what we'll see in the slides will kind of go specific to global studies things, but definitely take a look at the information that is on the directions for the form itself. There's a lot of resources you're going to want to check out to make sure you are doing all of the research ahead of time to make sure you're making good class selections for what you're trying to accomplish. And then from there, once you know what you still have to accomplish, that's where you start making some decisions about what you think you want to do while you're abroad, right? What major requirements you want to work on if you want to work on major requirements, what GE requirements if you wanted to do that, what upper division elective requirements you're going to look at if that's kind of where you're going to take it while you're abroad. So you'll take a look at your specific chosen program's course options. You're going to want to consider the expected number of courses to be taken. You're going to find and write down course titles and numbers. Now it says here, if possible, we really strongly recommend that you do write down course numbers. The key reason why is it will help you figure out if the courses are treated as upper division classes. So similar to the courses that at UCSB are numbered 100 to 199 and can count for upper division major and elective requirements, versus classes that are treated as lower division, so more intended for first or sometimes second year students, similar to the lower division classes numbered 1 to 99 that you would see here at UCSB. So there are some tools that will help you figure that out on the UCEAP website. Basically, you're going to spend a lot of time on the academics tab for your specific programs page. These are also resources are also listed like we saw on the academic program forms or planning forms, front side. So then with that information in front of you, you're going to make some tentative course selections in line with what you're trying to accomplish while you're abroad. The next page is going to have some suggestions for global studies, things to look for, parts of your major requirements you most likely will be ready to focus on once you're going abroad, some suggestions for that. The big thing is be really careful when you're selecting courses. If you want to use them for upper division major or elective requirements, they do have to be upper division courses when taken at the program university. So read your program materials very carefully, specifically look for any sections that talk about how to tell from the program materials and the university's website which classes count as upper division and which ones are lower division. And if you are not sure, you are going to want to reach out to your UCSB EAP program specific advisors. They can help you figure out how UCSB would treat that credit, because once you take the courses, if they are lower division, we cannot use them for upper division major requirements or elective requirements. Potentially they can be used for other things like maybe GEs, but you can't use them for upper division major requirements. So that's the key piece you're going to want to be taking a look at. And then once you have potentially some course lists in mind or some course ideas in mind, you're going to write those courses down on the back side of your academic planning form. We do recommend that you plan some extra courses just in case, just like you would in a regular academic quarter at UCSB. There's a high probability that you could get there and they could cancel the course that you really were excited about taking, or thought might fit your major requirements really well, or maybe the course is full and they can't accommodate more students, or just for whatever reason you have to make different course selections. It's nice to have backups in mind in case that happens to you, so that you can be confident that you're making good course selections, even if you have to change your mind later. You want to also download course descriptions for your proposed courses and be ready to show them to your Global Studies advisor upon meeting with them for the signature at the bottom of the form. So where to get those course descriptions, we are going to go into more in depth on, but you can find them, just kind of, we'll say it really quickly and then we'll show you. You can find them on your program page on the UCEAP website, again, academics tab, and then you're going to find the UCEAP course catalog. And if the course is a class that other students have taken, other UCEAP students have taken in the past, it should show up on that database. That will then allow you to click through and download some course descriptions, or you can find course descriptions sometimes on the actual university's program materials if they have their catalog listed. For you to be able to look at course descriptions. It's not true for every single program, but between those two resources, you probably will find what you need. We do need to see course descriptions just so that way we can give you really good guidance about whether or not we'd be able to accept them by petition for your major requirements. So don't skip that step. Make sure to bring them. If you don't bring course descriptions, we will either, if you've made an appointment to meet with us, have to sit with you and look them up with you, or we'll have to send you off if it's drop-ins. We'll have to send you back up to your planning board to get what you need and then come back to us when you're ready. And then just kind of keeping this in mind, if you do need help with steps 1, the last step, and step 2, the slide that we're looking at, do plan to make an appointment with one of the undergraduate advisors in global studies. If you visit the undergraduate advising page of our website, you can get to our appointment calendars and figure out how that works. We do recommend that if you are not sure how to look at your progress check and do your course research, this conversation can take some extra time if you haven't already looked at your program page and been a little bit aware of what's available to you there. So definitely make an appointment for that. And before we meet, definitely glance through that just so you can kind of get some ideas. But we can look at it all together with you too if it's getting confusing, or if you just want some extra one-on-one help, happy to do that. Simple drop-in, potentially good if we're just verifying quick questions. If you already have your course descriptions, if you already have your form fully filled out and you just need the final signature and us to give you some quick comments on your course options. So you have some choices. Step 3, once you've done that, you're going to do a final tentative schedule approval signature. Now we say final tentative because just like you're planning 8 to 9 months in advance before you actually go in country to your program, strong possibility that things could change. You might end up needing to do different classes, but you do not necessarily need to get our signature again if you have to change classes. With your form filled out with enough classes with backups, you will still be fine and you'll be confident picking out new classes if you find that you do have to fill in some blanks if the original classes you were looking at were no longer available to you for whatever reason. But this is why we like to say it's a tentative schedule that you're making and ideas for, but it's like our final chance to kind of check in with you before you plan to go abroad. So that's kind of what we say, final but tentative. So with your form filled out, you're going to visit the undergraduate advisor. Definitely for global studies, if you're a global studies major, if you have a second major, they do recommend, I think even possibly require, that you get a signature from your second major as well. If you are doing a minor, probably not a bad idea to check in with them. It'll say on the form if at this time they're currently requiring you to get a signature from your minor advisor or not. If you're planning on using courses towards your minor, you will definitely want to meet with that advisor as well. You'll meet with us for a course check. We will include some notes on your form for the specific classes as best as we can. We'll let you know if we would be able to use them for major requirements and where we would put them on the major sheet by petition. And then we can also let you know which ones we would not be able to accept. That still is subject to change if the classes come back and you have taken different classes than the ones that we initially discussed, and you didn't make classes choices that were similar to the ones that you originally got signed off on. You may find that we were not able to accept them in the way that we originally thought that we could, but this is why we do want you to do the strong research on the front end of the process, so that if your classes change and you have to pick different courses once you're actually there, you can still make selections that are in line with the general parts of the major requirements that you're going to try to accomplish, if that's what you're trying to do while you're abroad. And then we will give you a final signature. This is a really great chance for you to bring any questions you had about filling out the form when you stop by for your signature. We can correct things together if needed. If you have just general questions about your program, that might be a good thing to check in with the UCSB EAP advisors and for all like other aspects of your application, but we can definitely help you get connected to the right people if you're not sure. We will say this: an appointment is required if you feel like you either need additional assistance selecting classes or looking at your progress check if you're not totally sure, or if you do not have course descriptions yet, if you did not take the extra step to download them and either print them out or bring them with you digitally or send them to us via email along with your form. We will need to sit down, and that's why the appointment time is good, to look at classes with you and actually find those specific classes if we can in the catalog, so that we can be sure that they are upper division and a good fit for the major. However, if you feel like you got it, you found everything, you've got your course descriptions ready, they could be printed, they could be copied and pasted into a Google document as long as they have all of the course numbering and all of the specifics that relate to that course, but just kind of get them with you and with your form. If you've got all of that and your form is fully filled out and you are feeling confident, a drop-in very well might be fine. If you just need the quick final signature, we can scan your form with you and answer any quick clarifying questions. Just know that if we see some things we're not sure about, we may actually ask you to come back for an appointment, to make an appointment, if we think that your form needs a little bit of reconsidering in certain parts. So all of that in mind, do not wait to the last minute to get your form signed off. Do not bring your form for a signature at the very last minute, not the day it's due. I would even recommend not like 2 days before it's due, just in case there's some last minute things we tell you need to look at. Whether you're sending it by email including during the campus closures, or like over a break or over the weekend or whatever, or bringing it for an in-person visit, again, we strongly recommend an appointment because that does give us the time to look at things with you. Do make sure to give yourself at least a few extra days before your official program deadline for a response from us, or a chance to meet with us in an appointment or a drop-in. The other thing to keep in mind is look at the top of your form. It's going to be giving you, let's see if we can get out of this really quickly. I think we can. It's going to be giving you a deadline at the top of the front side of the form. It'll say sign form due with your EAP application, or no later than March 1st for summer, fall, and year programs, and May 31st for spring programs. Definitely focus on what the current copy of the form that you have access to says. It might be similar deadlines, they might be slightly different. But what this means is your main EAP application has its own specific deadline for that program, but you get a little bit of a grace period potentially for this part of the form. March 1st for these types of programs, summer, fall, and year, and May 31st for spring programs. I would say for winter, you're also going to want to think, if it's just a winter quarter program, go ahead and plan for March, that first deadline, March 1st. The reason is they want to see that your stuff is all turned in for the main application, but if this needs to wait a little bit longer because you are still meeting with your advisors, they understand that. They want to give you the opportunity to get good guidance, but get it in as soon as you can. Some big notes and reminders about the academic planning form. Now, like we promised, the first part of this video where we just went through the big step-by-step, the overview, that's pretty much complete. Do recommend that you hang tight and listen to the big notes and reminders here to just kind of make sure you've got the big picture in mind. And then, like I said, if you do need more of a breakdown step-by-step for what steps to follow that relate to those first 3 big moves that you'll make on your academic planning form, the rest of the presentation is going to go more into depth on those. But if you feel like you got what you needed from this first part of the presentation, I would say watch or read the next slide. And then beyond that, you can decide if you wanted to go through the rest of the presentation with us for more of a breakdown. So the big notes, as we've kind of mentioned, keep in mind, so the courses that you list on your form very well could not be the courses you end up taking, just like a UCSB. Sometimes they're just not available to you. You get there and realize they're full. Maybe you don't meet the prerequisites, but you didn't know that until you got there. Maybe your schedule doesn't work, right? Maybe you've got 2 classes you would like to take, but only one of them fits your schedule, whatever, right? Because of that, you want to be flexible and you want to be ready to make other course selections based on what you got signed off on, right? So if we sign you off on a bunch of classes because you decide you are going to focus on your Area 3 Upper Division Global Studies region requirement, right? Maybe you're going to a country in Europe and you've decided to work on your Europe region courses. So if we sign you off on a bunch of Europe region courses and then you get there and none of those are available, probably your best bet is to find other classes that fit that same general area on the major sheet, or look at your progress check again and see if there's other spots on your major sheet or on your progress check that it makes sense to work on, right? Maybe there's other spots that you could work on as well. Now, is this to say that you'll be wasting your time if you take other classes that are not the original ones you got signed off on? Not necessarily. You just have to look really carefully at what those classes are going to give you. If they are upper division courses, you will always be getting upper division elective units. Those are always good to have. Those are always great to put in your bucket towards your graduation requirement of at least 60 upper division units. They just may not work for your major, right? But you could still count them towards graduation, potentially, as long as they're upper division. But if you do want to try to meet the same major requirements and you have the situation where you have to pick different courses, just try to pick courses that are the same general type as the ones that you got signed off on, and you should still be in a strong position. We also like to say for global studies, don't worry too much about the specific course departments or finding specific course titles that are the exact match to course titles that you see at UCSB. Other majors, you have to be more careful about this. We are more about the content and the description of things, right? We can use a lot of different classes by petition as long as they fit the big themes of our major, which we'll go into more in depth in a few more moments. And as you know, looking at our global major sheet, we pull from all kinds of different departments. So it totally makes sense when you're looking at planning your EAP courses that you wouldn't necessarily have to be stuck looking for global studies major classes or things that are labeled exactly like that. You would just need to be looking for things that are similar and from similar departments. And that's kind of what we just said. One big point with this, again, got to hammer this home again and again and again. If you do have to end up taking different courses, or even while you're making your original course list, do make sure you are always selecting upper division courses if you want to use them towards upper division major requirements. If you take the course and we find that once you're back and it comes onto your gold that it has a lower division course number, so 99 and below, we cannot accept it towards upper division major requirements. That's not a department rule, that's just a rule of the university in general. So we apologize for that, but that's why you do want to do your research on the front end to make sure that you're picking upper division courses. And if you don't know if they're upper division, you can't tell from the program materials, that's a good question to check in with on the UCEAP or UCSB EAP office advisors. They will be able to help you figure out if that is true for those different classes. And then, like we said, other majors will have a different take on this. Other majors might have specific pre-approved classes that your department needs you to take. It kind of just depends. But if you are a double major, that's something you may want to be aware of, but you'll find that out when you meet with your major advisor or look at their website for your department for your undergrad major section and see if there's any requirements that they need you to do if you're going to be studying abroad. Like we said, though, global studies is somewhat flexible as long as you are taking upper division courses for upper division requirements and you're taking classes that are similar in content to the ones that we would be asking for on our major sheet, then you should be good to go. And then like the big thing to keep in mind, your course choices don't have to be 100% settled. This form is more just about you starting the conversation between you, yourself, your knowledge of your degree progress, your major progress check, and us as your undergraduate advisors, just to make sure that the classes that you're interested in line up with your goals. If you are planning to use your time abroad to meet specific graduation objectives, if you're not, if you're just going to go abroad and take whatever classes you want and you're not worried about them meeting certain major requirements, that's fine too. It's just good for us to have that conversation so that you know what you are taking while you're abroad and how it will help you. And then the other good thing is all UCEAP courses give you units towards graduation. Everything you take counts. for something, even if it doesn't specifically count towards your major or minor or GE requirements or upper division elective requirements. All of those different requirements have their specifics that you would be looking for if you're trying to replicate the credit you'd be taking abroad here with your requirements here at UCSB. So just look very carefully, but if you're not concerned about how your classes will matter, then just know it's never a waste to take classes abroad. It's just that they may not fit specific areas on your major or graduation progress. Now, if you felt like you needed some more details on each step as I talked through them in the previous one, it's going to say keep scrolling, as assuming that you're looking through these slides, or just keep watching if you're watching this as a YouTube video. So again, major and GE progress check, that's your step one. Write down your remaining requirements for graduation. Because you need this information for the front side of your academic planning form. Now, the specifics on this, you can kind of just sketch this out. It doesn't have to be specific for our majors, maybe different for other majors. You don't have to mention exact specific classes. For the most part, you can just say like 2 area A GEs, 3 global studies upper division region courses, unless you know that there's a specific core course requirement or specific class number requirement. For example, the only thing on our major that you would potentially say a specific class that you still need to take would be like Global 110, 120, 130, right? Those are our specific major classes where there's an actual course number that you have to do versus just picking from a choice of multiple different classes. And then you'll account with a Y for yes or an N for no as to whether you're going to have those requirements done by the time you're going abroad. So basically, they just want you to go through and think, am I going to do Global 110, 120, 130? Yes, no. Or if it's yes, then I'll put a Y. If it's not, then I'll put a no. Is it a bad thing if you're writing down a bunch of N's? No, not at all. It just means that you are recognizing that you still have a lot of things you're going to work on either while you're abroad or when you get back from being abroad. EAP is not going to go, oh, you haven't done enough stuff here at UCSB, we're not going to let you go abroad. It's just, again, you acknowledging, like, I know I still have these requirements I have to complete. I am going to be going abroad, but I know that when I come back, I'm going to be working on these, or I'm going to be working on these while I'm abroad, potentially. They just want to see evidence that you've done your research. So then you'll start thinking about how the courses you ideally want to complete abroad will help you also work on your degree requirements, if that is your plan, if that is desired for you. For your global requirements, the classic moves in an EAP program are to work towards completing, drum roll please, part of your language requirement. That's a really big one that a lot of students go abroad to do, at least part of their language requirement. We do have this full video explaining the full foreign language requirement, and there is a section about using EAP courses or EAP programs towards your language requirement. I do recommend that you watch that if it's at all unclear to you or if you're not sure how that works. In some cases, looking at the classes that you'll look at on the UCEAP program materials, it'll be the same as looking at all other classes on your program materials for your language requirement, but there are some specific considerations related to the level of classes that you'll want to look really, really carefully. Area 3 region courses, right? Picking the region that relates to the country that you'll be in is a really strong move, really, really common for people to do that when they're going abroad with our major, because it's pretty easy to find classes that will fit underneath that. And then Area B global topics courses. You'll notice Area 2B global topics courses. That's a less common, but still potentially possible area where you might be working on stuff while you're abroad for your global major. And then note, Global 1 and 2, Global 110, 120, 130, any core classes that are listed on the major sheet as you must take this exact class. And then all the Area 2A Global Studies Upper Division courses. So those are all of our upper division electives labeled Global Studies 1 something something. Those have to be completed at UCSB with our faculty. Very, very rarely are we able to approve exceptions to that, or like, oh, you took a class abroad that's the same as this one. We would treat that more as like an Area 2B class or an Area 3 if it fits to a specific region. We do want to see that you're getting at least 5, depending on how many core classes we have required in our major at the point when you're doing the major. We want to see at least these specific, not just 5, upper division, at least these specific global studies department classes. We do want to see that you're getting a core experience here at UCSB in the major, and not just taking classes everywhere else. And in other departments. So that is why we have that rule. But there are lots of other things you can work on while abroad that would fit more into the Area 3 and Area 2B upper division requirements. So now we're researching courses that you would like to take. Now you do want to set aside a good amount of time for this. I'm going to give you a quick overview just to kind of like give you a sense of how to find what you're looking for, but it's going to go faster than it's going to make sense for doing this in real life. So do set aside a good amount of time for this and look at the form itself. It has a lot of links and a lot of resources that will help you figure out how to do this. So you're going to start on the UCEAP website. I'm going to go ahead and open that up, and then I'll kind of treat this like I'm a student who is planning to go abroad. So I'm on the main UCEAP website. We have these fun circa 2021 reminders. So I'm going to close those just so we get a good full view. Now, let's say I know my program already. If you don't know your program already, then maybe you're in the early stages of deciding to go abroad, and this video will probably not help you, but it could give you some things to think about. You could still watch this, and this could still help you figure out how to narrow down programs that you want to pick. So I'm going to say I have a specific program. Let me just pick one. I'm going to say region. I want to go to, let's see. I'm going to go to, let's go to Japan. I feel like going to Japan today. Ooh, beautiful. Okay, so I'm in the study abroad Japan program section. Now I already have a program in mind. Let's pretend in this sense. I'm going to go to, hey, global studies in Japan. That will just make it easy. We'll pick this one. That doesn't mean that you can't be going to other ones, right? Japanese in Kyoto, that would be a language specific program. I load more and I can find all the other programs that exist, but I'm going to go ahead and just go to global studies Japan. We'll use that as a sample. So I'm on my program page. I look for the academics tab over on the left side. Definitely spend some time looking at this too, because this gets you pumped and excited about where you'll be going and what that's going to be like. This also gives you some quick stats about what type of program it is, what kinds of language prerequisites exist, things like that, timing throughout the year. But you knew that already because you already picked your program. Academics, we'll go over here. So my academics tab, this is going to tell me pretty much everything I need to know to start filling out my academic planning form and start knowing what types of classes I'll be looking at. So this program features undergraduate courses in global studies, history, international relations, political science, Asian studies, cultural studies, and other social science and humanities topics, all taught in English. What is this telling me? Am I going to find some departments and courses that will fit global studies? 100% yes. There's some specifically labeled global studies, but I'm also very likely going to find some elective options that will fit underneath the other parts of the major requirements for Area 3, probably East Asia, right, since I'm going to be in Japan, or Area 2B, right, things that are more comparing across multiple regions of the world. We're also seeing, oh, cool, an internship for credit. So potentially that may also be something I need to account for on my major, on my academic planning form. Maybe there's a course that I need to keep in mind that I'll be doing for a internship. Language of instruction is English. Language study is optional. So this tells me, do I have to plan to take a foreign language course while I'm gone? Not necessarily. And then it clarifies here, Japanese language study is optional, but highly recommended. So I will have access to beginning, intermediate, and advanced classes. Obviously, I will have access to them depending on what my current level of understanding of Japanese is or while I'll be gone. But this is nice to know, right? If I think that when I look at my major in GE progress check, if I realize I do need some language courses or I would like to work on language while abroad, it does look like I will be able to write down some courses that work for that. Okay, here's where we're going to start dialing down. Requirements while abroad. To successfully complete this program, take a full-time course of study of 6 to 7 courses for a total of 21 quarter, 14 semester UC units. So 6 to 7, how many courses should I plan to write down? Should I plan to write down 3? No. I should plan to write down at least 6 to 7, ideally more, right? Ideally more, so that way I have backups. And then this kind of continues to explain what types of classes and how many of them are available to me. Oh, this is cool. I'll attend the first week of classes before doing course registration, so I kind of get to shop around once I'm actually at the campus. Limited coursework taught in Japanese is available for those with advanced language Japanese language ability. So that helps me know if I'm going to be trying to take classes for my advanced option for my foreign language requirement. That kind of helps me know that. Will this program help me get there? Okay, catalogs and resources. I have a bunch of links here, right? We'll almost always see at least one, if not more, options that are from the university itself. So I'm going to open that. But I will also see at the bottom 2 links that will tell me UCEAP Course Catalog and Campus Credit Abroad. I'm going to open both of these. but I'm gonna open them in different tabs so that I can keep the main page open. And then let's do a little experiment here. So the actual program, right? I'm seeing some Japanese. I'm seeing some Japanese language characters. I do not personally speak Japanese or read it. So I'm happy that there is some English text here so I can at least kind of tell. Now it's telling me course list and syllabi for more information because I do want to find courses. Yes, course lists and syllabi. And I'm looking and I'm seeing course titles. That's pretty cool. I'm seeing like days, spring semester 2019. Now I'm doing this video as a sample in July of 2021. July of 2021. I skipped a year in my brain. Will this exactly help me figure out what courses that I will for sure definitely be taking? No, not necessarily, right? This is an outdated year, but at least I can get a sense. And at least I can start clicking on course options. Now, when I click on, perfect. When I click on a course option, what am I noticing? It is all in Japanese. There's some information down here, though, that will help me kind of start to evaluate, is this a good fit for global studies? Yeah, potentially, right? We've got cultural issues. We've got 20th and 21st century. It looks like we're victims of the Fukushima nuclear power plant disaster. That was a very more contemporary event. So this is going to be a good fit for the major as long as it is upper division. Now, do I know if it's an upper division class? Let's go back to our main page where the program was. Do I have any sense of whether or not these are upper division classes intended for like the equivalent of junior and senior students at this university? No, I don't know. I have no idea, right? I can't tell. But I'm kind of interested in this Japanese minority groups course, right? How do I figure out if this specific class will actually be worth upper division units? This is where I go to the two, at least one, maybe both of the resources created by the UCEAP program. Probably the best one to start with would be the course catalog. This is going to have everything that other UCEAP students have taken on this program in the past. Now, the limitation with that is it's not going to tell me classes that are new or classes that are classes that like other students haven't taken enough for them to show up on this database, right? So if it's a newer course or just one that hasn't been as popular recently, it may not show up here. So I may not be able to find it. And that doesn't mean I shouldn't take the course. It just means that I will need to do a little bit more digging. I should meet with a UCSB EAP advisor to figure out if this specific course counts as upper division. I should look at my program materials to see if I can find some clues there about how to tell what classes listed here are upper. Oh wait, oh my goodness. Now I feel like a big goof. It says upper division right there. I'm so glad they made it easy though. Not all programs do. So, okay, now I know these are all upper division courses. So I'm safe. These would be safe choices as long as they are fitting the content areas of the major requirements that I am looking for. Oh, I love it when they make it easy for us to find this information. Anyways, let's say they didn't, right? Let's say we were still kind of trying to hunt down that information. I would plug in over here in the UCEAP course catalog. I would plug in my country. I would plug in my university, Meiji, this one. Global International Studies, that's the name of my program. Sometimes there will be multiple, so make sure you're picking carefully. UC subject, I don't know. I don't think they had one listed. Japanese minority groups, yeah, not really sure. So I'm going to leave that open to all. And then I'm going to, I don't know the UC course number and suffix. I don't even know the home university course and suffix, but I do know some keywords, right? I can say, what, Japanese minority groups. So I might just type in minority just to make it easy. And Japanese minority groups, it comes up. It comes up as a couple different subject areas. Does it ultimately matter what subject area you write down on your form for global studies? No, we don't care. As long as it's one, you can pick one. It's all the same course number, 128. So for sure, upper division. Transcript title, we're going to see it click in here for a course description. And then this would be the information that you want to have ready to show us when you meet with us as your advisors for a signature, because then we can tell at a glance, good fit because it's upper division, good fit because this description fits very well into our major for Area 3 East Asia region courses. So you can print the course. I guess you can email it. I'm not sure what that's going to look like, but printing it at least would be really useful for us. And then you can bring it in, or you can print it as a PDF and email it to us that way. Whatever works for you, or take a screenshot, copy paste, whatever. So that's kind of how you find it. Otherwise, if you're kind of just generally like, I don't know what classes to take. I have a program, but I don't really know like how I would even get started. The other thing to look at is the Campus Credit Abroad link. Remember that was back on our academics tab under catalogs and resources. So we go to Campus Credit Abroad, we pick UCSB because that's the school we're coming from. And hopefully it loads. Now this is going to remind us, again, the classes we see here are only going to be the classes that are have been taken in the past by UCSB students with specific filters, with specific types of credit filtered, or specifically we're going to look for classes that UCSB Global Studies majors have taken in the past and gotten specific major credit for in certain areas. And then this is just a reminder that it won't have all the classes. So if we really want to take a class that's not listed here, it doesn't mean we're limited and can't take that class. It just means that we can't get that extra assurance that it has been taken in the past for students or by UCSB Global Studies students. It's also not a guarantee that the same course will be on offer when I'm actually abroad. So just as long as we know that that's the truth. And then it's going to be kind of similar to the other UCEAP course catalog where I plug in actually, for this one, I'm going to plug in my major. I want to say I'm looking for major or minor, in our case, major credit for global studies. And the program is, this is where we'll plug in our program, Japan. Got this one. And then look at all of these subject areas or these departments. I'm going to leave it open because I want the best possible, widest look at what classes are available to me. If I wanted to, I could narrow it down by department. I don't want to do that because global studies, we can pull from it all. So we'll say search. And then we have this whole list pre-generated of classes that other global studies UCSB students have taken in the past. We do get this nice confirmation of which ones are upper division. These are all viable options. We see titles. We can't click on them and get the course descriptions. This is where you'd have to then like go back to this catalog, or you could go back to this program page and see if it's there. You kind of do some, you can kind of see why this takes some time, right? But really importantly, over here, I can actually see a specific of like what part of the major requirements students in the past have successfully petitioned this for in terms of their major requirements. And you can do the same check for any other major as well, or minor. So just know that you can rerun the search again and do it that way if you wanted to like look at what classes count for your second major or general education or elective credit, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a pretty useful tool, especially if you just want a quick list of classes that will for sure work for your major. Hopefully then they will be available when you're abroad. So you write down your classes. We're back over here. And then this is going to have pretty much everything we just looked at. So I will keep going here. Remember, you're writing down the number of classes that you're going to plan to take, plus some extras just in case. And then you use your tools available to you. This is all stuff that we've just talked about, but it will be in here if you need to pause and read it, if you're more of a reading person. And you want to have that screen up while you're looking. And then we'll go on to the next step. And then you're writing down courses that seem like they fit the parameters below. You don't want to overthink it too much. Again, these courses may not even be available to you. You're just kind of doing the exercise of picking classes that would work for your major if you're trying to do major requirements. You're just making a tentative schedule, a practice schedule. For global requirements, we talked through some of this. There are some specific classic moves that you would make in an EAP program that you might choose to work on. Your language requirements, this would be where you're looking at the two different parts of your foreign language requirement, either the quarter 6 or the equivalent part. You're looking for language courses with titles like beginning or intermediate. That's what you would be looking to fulfill potentially parts of this requirement, depending on how far you've gone already in that language. If you're just starting out, or you've completed already the beginning level series and you're ready for intermediate, or maybe you're trying to complete the one additional year. If that's the case, you are looking for either beginning level courses for a different language than the one you do for quarter 6, right? Or you're doing advanced or upper division courses taught in the language that you're planning to get up to quarter 6 for, typically by the time you leave for your program. A nice thing to know is that any upper division content class taught in that language can be used for that part of the language requirement. So if you're going abroad to Spain and you had to be up to level 6 in Spanish before you could even be eligible to be gone abroad on that program, and then they're offering you menus of classes that are taught in Spanish to take, you could take those classes and apply them towards your language requirement if you did not want to or were not able to, for whatever reason, apply them to your upper division major requirements. Maybe you have enough classes to fulfill that already. Maybe you want to apply them towards your language requirement instead, just as an example. And then something to keep in mind, a lot of students, this isn't the easiest process to follow, but a lot of students end up getting language credit in non-traditional ways if they went abroad and then were not quite able to take the exact courses that lined up with their language needs. Sometimes they come back and then having spent a whole, semester or quarter or a full year studying and living in that language, sometimes I find that they can take a placement test or they can go to the department that teaches that language and talk to somebody there and get kind of credited in the placement test sort of a way for the courses that they didn't officially get a chance to take. Maybe you got a little bit higher, but you didn't actually take that lower level class that you needed to meet that basic requirement in the major requirements. If you think that might apply to you, definitely come talk to us so that we can point you in the right direction. Upper Division Area 3 region courses, the only thing you need to keep in mind for this one, probably our most common global requirement to fulfill on an EAP program, would be 20th century and 21st century history focus. So we like to say generally nothing earlier than World War II, or majors focused on contemporary history. And so any social, political, cultural, historical topics within that selected region, or it could be a single country within the region. That would work for Area 3. Same general thinking for Area 2B. The only difference is, and these are a little bit less common to find abroad, but still very possible, still 20th and 21st century. But big differences, we want to see social, cultural, political, cultural, historical topics within at least 3 or more different regions. You should be comparing across multiple regions, not just focused on one region or one region's interaction with one other country or region. If you're not sure if it then fits within an Area 2B or an Area 3, that's something that is great to run by us when you get your final signature. But if it's truly comparing across many regions, then yes, very good fit for Area 2B. We find that a lot of international relations kinds of courses or political science kinds of courses tend to fit underneath there, but just know that it's possible. You just have to look really carefully. And then again, watch out. It's not always clear which courses are upper or lower division credits. If you're looking at the UCEAP Course Catalog or Gaucho or Campus Credit Abroad, it'll be easy to find. But if you're looking mainly at the school, the actual academic actual university programs page, you may have to do some extra cross-referencing with either what's in the UCEAP course catalog or with one of the advisors in the UCSB EAP advising office, just to make sure that the classes you're picking are truly upper division and they're not designed for younger students, or I shouldn't say really younger, but first or second year type students. And then final approval signature for your tentative schedule. Again, visit us in the advising office for a final course check, including some notes on your form and that final signature. Make sure to bring your course descriptions with you to the visit or attach them to the email if you are sending your form via email. You also can bring any final questions you had about filling out the form. When you stop by for your signature, we can correct it together. We'll put some notes on your form as needed. Again, appointment is required if you had some things that you wanted to still discuss or you weren't totally sure. Definitely required if you don't have course descriptions. So if you show up for drop-ins without course descriptions, we will tell you to make an appointment. Drop-ins, though, potentially could be okay as long as they're not too busy, as long as you have your entire form filled out, you've printed out your course descriptions and brought them with you, all of them, not just some of them, but all of them, and you feel pretty confident that you're ready to get your signature, then we can potentially take care of your signature in a quick drop-in, but it will kind of depend on you. So then you're going to submit your completed academic planning form along with your other program documents by your program's deadline or no later than the deadline listed at the top of the form. Can be submitted online from what we understand. Definitely follow whatever is listed in your program directions. And then again, if you do need those extra help with the things that we've looked at step by step, do plan to make an appointment with us. You may sometimes in some cases need 2 appointments, right? Maybe you need 1 appointment just to go through the process of looking through all of the program documents and program websites, just like we kind of looked at. And then maybe you need 1 more quick appointment or drop-in just to get your final signature. But it does take time to research. It does take time to get confident that the course selections you are making make sense for you and your program, your major requirements. So just make sure you're giving yourself lots of time to put that research in and to put that planning in. Otherwise, potentially a drop-in can be okay if you've done all of the research and if everything is ready to go. All right, and that takes us to the end. Thank you for watching. If you do have any additional questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Please do not wait until the last minute. As you can see, it's a lot of thinking and a lot of strategizing and a lot of research. So you do want to give yourself lots of time to get our final input on it so you don't get stuck without being able to turn in your form on time. Please reach out to us with further questions.